What's going on, people? Welcome to United View and welcome to another sick collab and another special guest. One that you guys absolutely loved having on the show last time out, Mr. Ajax from We Talk Ajax. Bro, how are you doing, man? Good to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Flex. I want to say I'm doing peachy and great, and on a personal level, that's quite right. But with elimination in the Champions League, I'm a bit upset. But you probably feel the same with Manchester United.
I do, bro. You know this. We feel the same, so we can share that emotion. We can share that emotion. I've got a lot I want to talk about this time round, man. We had a wicked chat
Yeah.
last time, finding out about the profile of Poch, the type of manager. Sorry, of Poch, of Ten Hag. Poch on the brain. You know what I mean, Poch on the brain. Of Ten Hag, finding out how he is as a manager, his tactical setup, and you gave us an amazing insight. Everybody in the comments was so complimentary of the chat that we had last time, so I knew I had to get you back on. All these months later, a lot has happened. We're getting into the back end of the season. We're both out of the Champions League. And over here within the Manchester United fan base or football Twitter, whatever you want to call it, the momentum is gathering for Erik Ten Hag. I'm sure you've been aware of it. He's the bookies' favorite. There's been reports today that Edwin van der Sar won't stand in his way. His compensation package could be as little as 5 million. I'm sure this is hurting you inside as I'm reeling off all of this news. However, I wanted to speak to you on your side of the things, the Ajax side of things. So I feel like we're in our little bubble. We just want a new manager and we forget there's a whole nother football club, a whole nother fan base, a whole nother different type of views, excuse the pun. So talk to me. Is Erik Ten Hag now ready to leave, in your opinion?
In my opinion, he's never ready to leave because we love him. You know, he has his flaws, but a lot of more positive sides. But with all the things going on at Ajax in our direction, you know, with Mark Overmars, the elimination in Champions League, a lot of players probably leaving at the end of the season, and that will be his third rebuild. You know, what you guys have to do probably in the next seasons, like rebuilding the squad. We've done this under Ten Hag's helm for a few times now, and maybe he is ready for something else now. So I think he's more ready to move to another club than the last time we spoke, because a lot has happened on our side also.
Loads, yeah.
Yeah, so I think he's more ready now for a next chapter than in the past.
What was the story of Edwin van der Sar not standing in his way if he wants to come? The story of, as little as a 5 million release clause to get Ten Hag out of his contract. I know, obviously, look, this is not factual. This is just your opinion. But how do you see that as an Ajax fan, and from the noise and the reports and news over there in Amsterdam? How are those two statements perceived? Is that true by the way you see it in terms of Van der Sar? You could see stepping aside and letting Ten Hag grant his wish, and secondly, a very small release clause. Is that fairly accurate? Would you say?
The release clause, I do not know for sure, but it sounds about right. And about he is able to leave now and he won't stand in his way. This is also a little bit of the Ajax way. Also, we usually also with players, they will be with us if we're lucky and they're good for like several years. But then we have like this gentleman's agreement. If a dream club comes or a bigger league is a possibility for the player to play at, then we would try to cooperate with them to also give them their transfers, you know, and that is something very different compared to the big leagues and compared, for example, the Premier League. You guys are like one of the big four leagues, and the players want to play in that league. And the Eredivisie, with all due respect, a lot of players see it as a stepping stone. And I think for a manager, maybe the Premier League is also more appealing, and he maybe wants to try also what can I achieve in another competition. So I do think that if Edwin says this, there is truth in it. And this is also not something weird at our club. You know, we've done this in the past. We've done this with players. We've done this with coaches also. So yeah, sadly, I believe those rumors are true, Flex.
Yeah, it is gathering pace. Just a quick one. Your camera's shaking a little bit. I don't know if because your
Yeah,
arms are on the table. So just that's okay. No, but I thought so. In terms of I remember you saying about if Erik Ten Hag come to Manchester United, what he could bring, etc., etc. With the capitulation of our season, and then how yours. I mean, you're still in the title race. What are you? 2 points clear
2 points
in
clear.
a title race. Yeah, played the same games as PSV. So there's so much to play for. Do you still think that Erik Ten Hag could come to Manchester United and rebuild. He's lost Mark Overmars now, and I know that wouldn't be the case of him coming to Manchester United, even if he did come. But could you still see it being a good fit for him, even though, there's even more problems at Manchester United now than there was the last time we spoke?
Yeah, the problem is, Flex, I think those problems at your club go way deeper than this. And
absolutely,
the Glazer situation at your club, and doesn't matter which manager comes, they need to give him time. And he also needs to stand up for his own philosophy to like push through, because these guys, they do marketing, but they do not know how to run a football club. So time is of the essence. And I do think that the style of Ten Hag needs a little bit time for the team to adjust to, even with Guardiola, that he's been dubbed like a coach like Guardiola, right? Even with Guardiola at Manchester City, it wasn't immediate success there. Even his style, they needed time to blend in and get another few players and then mix it together to make his style work. So the same with Ten Hag. If he goes to Manchester United, time is of the essence. Do not expect him to like recover the team in one season. The problem goes way deeper than that. And also with Poch, if Man United happens to go for Poch, it's the same thing. There has to be done a lot to turn it around at your club. So I do think he's the guy that can do that for you, but you should give him at least two or three seasons to establish his way of playing, finding out which players he wants in which positions, which players are that good at your club, and needs to be replaced. So these things are very important. And if they grant him this time, I'm very positive that he can have a positive impact on the team and on the future of the club.
Yeah, I think a lot of Manchester United fans have been talking about that, like needing to this next stage of our next rebuild. We have to just drop expectancy. We have to forget about challenging for the league, forget about winning the top trophies. And I know that might sound defeatist for a club like Manchester United, but it's about that, what you just said there. Don't expect miracles straight away, because the problems are very, very deep. It's only one small step in the right direction, getting somebody like the quality of Erik Ten Hag, or whether it's Pochettino, whoever it is. It's just one small step. One thing I did want to ask you, bro, is there's a lot of noise here about who the next Man United manager is going to be, obviously, because we have an interim. But what's the noise like in the news, in the media, surrounding maybe potential replacements for Erik Ten Hag? Has that even been a thing, or is it so calm over there, like he's not going anywhere?
It's quite calm, actually, and I do have my personal favorites. Yes, I do think it will start up if it will become more heavily linked with Manchester United towards the end of the season. Then the whole, circus starts, and we start like pursuing other candidates. But for now, he told in the media he's just focusing on Ajax this season. But in comparison to the last time we talked, they asked him, a lot of players will probably leave at the end of the season. Overmars is gone. You got eliminated in the Champions League, so probably another rebuild is necessary next season. And are you not able to tell to the fans that you will stay next season, that you give them a little bit of stability, and that the rumors are gone? That we know you will be here next season, and all the rumors will be gone instantly. And he said, no, I'm just want to talk about this season only. So him saying is actually a sign that he's maybe not thinking of staying next season, but he's maybe open to another club. And as we all know, you are the top contenders chasing him. So this is probably good news for the Manchester United fans compared to the last time we talked.
Yeah, because I remember you saying that he was not getting drawn on anything. So basically what you're saying is the fact that he wouldn't even speak about the future, he's basically just concentrating on now. That's like that media trained answer of, listen, I'm not saying I'm staying, but I've got a job to do for now. We'll see what happens. That's basically like saying that. So how did that go down with the fan base? Because you are obviously, it's a big win for you. The other day, you had 10 men. I saw some of that in the title race. You had to get it done, and you did. 2 points clear. How's that gone down in the fan base? I know he's loved there, but is there any discontent amongst the fan base because there's uncertainty about his future?
There is some discontent amongst the fan base, but that does not have to do with the future. It has to do with the way he's been not able to turn things around and come up with a plan B. And I think we talked about it in the past.
Yeah, you said that.
Actually, the Feyenoord game, this was one of the games he did come up with a plan B, and he did something different than we saw from him in the last years. He didn't just sub one position for the substitute of that position. He just switched it around, took off a defender, defensive midfielder, put in an extra attacking midfielder, and in the end put an extra striker next to Haller in the name of Brobbey. So he substituted early. So actually that was quite nice, and was the first time in a long time that I saw him turn things around. Because usually when we're down or draw at halftime, we lose the match. And this time he turned it around. So that was quite nice. But for example, against Benfica, people complain that it's the same story over and over again. Also against Tottenham in the past and against other opponents last seasons. We're better, we're dominating, but he isn't able to read the game and substitute early enough, for example. He just thinks, okay, we're dominating, we're quite good at the moment, the goal will come. And this is one of the big differences with Guardiola, I think. I do think that Guardiola has already established the skill to turn things around sometimes. He always stays true to his philosophy, but he can read the game and come up with a certain substitution that people may not expect from him, And this is with Ten Hag. Sometimes this is at least the criticism I have on him. He could be a little bit of a one-trick pony, and this is something that he got some criticism on in the media at the moment and in Holland. And about the transfer window upcoming or maybe him leaving, not so much yet.
And if there was going to be something there in terms of him coming, is it safe to say that it wouldn't be until the end of the season? Like for sure. Like you're in the title race. I can't see how, a few games before the end or something like that, we announce him as the manager and he's actually there. But could there be an announcement in terms of we know at the end of the season it will happen? Or do you think no matter what, because you're in a title race, Ajax won't upset the apple cart that much and will wait for any announcement until the actual end of the season?
I do not think they will announce it already. Also because he has a contract and we're also at the stock market, So we cannot just announce these things without thinking what the impact will be of that. So I do think the season will end and then the speculations will increase and probably you will chase him. And if he leaves us, it will be in the last match or like that he can say goodbye to the fans already, but or just after the season. But now, no, all the focus needs to be on the title at the moment and on the cup matches. And this is where the focus will be of Ten Hag also. And I have to give him credits for that. Maybe he was not clear what he's going to do at the end of the season, but I'm totally positive that he's professional enough to just focus on the team at the moment. And I cannot see it happening, him like leaving already, or at least announcing them that he will leave already in the end of the season. You guys have to wait a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I think that's understandable given the situation that you're in. I mean, we've got nothing to play for, so we want the shining light now. We want like a Manchester City situation where I think it was Pellegrini at the time. Is it Mancini? No, Pellegrini was near the end, and they said that Pep's going to come at the end of the season, and then we'd love that. I think that's exactly what we need. That to know who it is, and because there's been reports here, and that's what I'm saying. It's very contrasting because David Ornstein, quite a big journalist here in England, was saying that expect the kind of managerial race to come to a close kind of about the end of March, i.e., man, he didn't say wait for an announcement then, but he was like expect it to come to a close as Manchester United are nearing making an appointment. And I think a lot of fans, from what I've gauged on social media and definitely ones I've spoken to on a personal level, everyone's getting a little bit bored of it. Like, we know it's going to be Poch or Ten Hag. It seems more likely to be Ten Hag now, but I don't think we're as close as some people may think for there being an announcement. And like you, it's interesting to hear you say there that there's not really any way that in the next couple of weeks, let's say, there could be a Manchester United can announce that at the end of the season, Erik Ten Hag will take place in June or whatever. It just can't happen, can it?
As like an objective view, and I'm not quite objective because I'm an Ajax fan, I want him to stay. But I do not even know that, I cannot understand that it's even a contest between Ten Hag and Pochettino, right? Because I watched the show of you last night, the full view, I think. And I saw they say, a lot of people say Ten Hag is better and they want him to come. But if you look at the stats, there's not that much of a difference there. And this is just like comparing apples with oranges, you know, because you have Pochettino on the one hand and you have Ten Hag on the other hand. Pochettino played at a club with a lot bigger budget at Tottenham when Ten Hag was at Ajax. We have like a fragment of the money that they could spend, or like all other teams in the Premier League. Same with Paris Saint-Germain. Yes, Mbappe. They buy Messi. They buy Sergio Ramos. They buy Donnarumma. Oh, even a small change, let's get Wijnaldum also. He would be a star in the Eredivisie, you know. So with that kind of material,
Hakimi as well.
yeah. Oh, let's not forget Hakimi. That's the beast on the right side. So with that kind of material, comparing him, like the stats are quite the same, you know. It's just not a fair comparison, because with the material that Ten Hag has, and he has to rebuild this team now if he stays for the third time in a few seasons. This is not happening at the big clubs. Like maybe Mbappe leaves now, but Neymar is staying for a lot of years. Mbappe is staying for a lot of years. They actually buy extra stars, you know. Same with the Premier League sides. The stars do not leave that soon as in the Eredivisie. So comparing, like, okay, they exit the same time, they perform it the same way, is like just comparing apples with oranges. Because with the funds that he had at different clubs, if Ten Hag would have the same funds at Ajax and the same appeal of like the competition that he's in, he would attract bigger stars, and maybe he would like outperform him way more. But we have to do with Tadic, who is a star at our club, but he was like not that great at Southampton. We have Lind from you, that is one of the bigger players. Haller, that was not that great in England, but
he had a terrible time at West Ham. Terrible time.
He's like almost outperformed Lewandowski. You know, he's not even taking penalties. He scored 11 times in the Champions League. So let that sink in.
How much of that Ajax is, because I know you said earlier in this show that the Eredivisie, like you said, is not as good as the other top leagues. How much of what Ten Hag does is because of, like you said, it's in that league, and how much of it is because the other side of what you're saying, which is because he's flipping good at what he does and getting the best out of players who some people can't see that potential in. How do you analyze that versus the competition of the league?
It's a very difficult question, because we have a certain philosophy at the club, and it suits the style of Ten Hag, and this will be different than Man United, I think. So for him to implement it there, it's much more difficult than to implement it at Ajax, I think. But it also has to do with his qualities. But it's an unfair comparison to the other coaches also, because the funds he had and the player material he has had the last 3-4 years is way more than, for example, Frank de Boer had when he went for 3 or 4 championships back then. The comparison of that material and the player quality is like miles apart. So it's also a different era, and this has to do with how the club is being run by Overmars and by Van der Sar and by Ten Hag himself. But I do think he's quality-wise a much better coach than we had in the past, and only maybe Peter Bosz comes close. So I do think he's a special kind of guy, and you will see that when he's at the helm. Probably, maybe at the end of the season.
Yeah, he didn't let it out there. He said he's probably going to be the guy.
You will see that he's quite something else, and it is like the perfect mix of quality, the philosophy that is already at the club, and also the player material and the funds that we had for Ajax ways was way higher than we had in the past. So all that come together made it for like the success that he had in the past, and he did grow a lot as a manager. So do not get me wrong, the negative side I talked about earlier, there are a lot more positives there. And I do think, in my opinion, he's a way better coach than Pochettino is. Because let's be honest, if we do look at the stats like DJ said yesterday, you know, Poch didn't win anything. Even at the Liga, and I do not think he was even champions last year. Lille won it. So
yeah, he wasn't last year.
Yeah, they didn't win the Champions League again this year, you know. So at Tottenham, now, we do not have to speak about Tottenham because they do not win anything ever.
Never. And still the case.
So what did he perform? He didn't perform that well prices-wise. So I do think, in my book at least, but I'm a little bit biased, Erik ten Hag is way ahead of Pochettino at the moment.
Well, that's very interesting, because, you know, people see on this channel, I know we've spoke before, my thing is always, I have actually seen them as like more similar than some people think. And hearing you talk about it in that way, I can completely understand them points. I've always understood why Eric Ten Hag is highly rated, 100%. I just saw it as this thing that people were saying that Pochettino is like completely and utterly finished. Like if the club appoint him, we will go backwards by 10 years. Like it's some reactions like that. And I'm like, maybe I'm completely wrong. And hopefully, you know, maybe I'll get proved completely wrong in this, because whoever the manager is, I'm going to back 100% and want him to do a damn good job. Like we need this rebuild. So I've said many times, if it's Eric Ten Hag, I am fully behind it. And I think it was KG who was saying on this last show, he was like, cool, I'm not really sure. I don't really mind which one, but actually he'd rather it go to Ten Hag because at least it's a more uniting appointment for the fan base, because definitely Ten Hag is the front runner, not just in the bookies, but definitely in the fan base. Like I said, people see him as way clear of Pochettino, and it's interesting to hear it from an Ajax fan. Like I said, that's why I like doing these things, because I don't want to just be clouded by my own bias, my own judgment. You know, I want to hear different views and different points of views, and who better to speak to than somebody who's watched Ajax all his life and definitely every game under Eric Ten Hag. So I take your points, man. I take your points, and you do help me to see it in a different light. I mean, when you break it down, how you've just broken it down, I can see that. I can see why, you know, you said. But then my thing is like, what would Eric Ten Hag be with then the level of budget at Man United, the level of expectancy at Man United, understanding the league? And I guess those are questions that it's like, well, Flex, let him arrive and see, sort of thing. But I've seen Pochettino build. Although Spurs didn't win anything, I still think it gets like forgotten that Spurs were literally nothing before he went there. He made them Champions League every single season. In the DNA, we speak about DNAs of clubs and what the norm is at clubs. The norm is at Tottenham to not win anything forever. That's just how they are. Sorry, Tottenham fans, if there's any watching, but that's just how it is. And then you look at, since he's left there, they've got even worse. So it's like, you know, I just feel like he made some really, you speak about improving players, taking players that nobody thinks has a high ceiling and turning them into really good players. I think Pochettino really did do that at Spurs. You know, Kieran Trippier, Kyle Walker, Danny Rose, Alderweireld, Vertonghen, what's his face, Dembele, Wanyama from Southampton, bought Son. Look at him. Elevated Harry Kane, Ericsson, Dele Alli from MK Dons. Like
Ericsson and Vertonghen were already schooled very good. So
yes, that's very true. Actually, that's very true. That's very true.
But let's be honest, you can only compare them in their matchup in the Champions League from a few years ago. And there will be people who will be saying, yeah, he won. Pochettino won, so he's the better manager. But you have to watch those two matches in full to see the style that I explained.
Yeah, you schooled them at the Tottenham Stadium. I remember watching that game. You absolutely schooled them. Should have been more.
Yeah, and that's the problem. You know, we were unlucky also, and this also small margins always in football. But the same with Chelsea. You know, Chelsea's been dominating or playing well, at least in the league. You know, not Champions League of Champions well, but they improved the last season. They won the Champions League. But if you look at how we performed in their stadium before we got screwed over by the referee, they were 4-1. They were 4-1 behind.
Yeah, unbelievable. I remember that game too.
Do not only look at the outcome, but also look at the majority of the match and how the team played. And for all the fans that have questions about how is the style of Ten Hag and how he will let the team perform, look at those big matches of Ajax in the Champions League against Real Madrid. We beat them in their own stadium 4-1. We've beaten Dortmund this season 4-0, I believe, or 4-1. We were up ahead 4-1 away at Chelsea. We were dominating at the Spurs Stadium. Just try and go and watch some of those highlights and then judge what the style of Ten Hag is. And I do think that it is important to win and to win trophies, but I do also think that you want to love your club again and be proud of the way they play football. And I think in the end, things can go hand in hand, you know. If you play well and everybody loves the club again and the morale is up high, eventually, probably, the results will come. And this is what I believe in. And it's also a little bit of the Ajax philosophy. And I do think that's why, Ten Hag, his way of playing is way better than what Poch showed, even with the quality he has now.
Ajax, I think you've done something really mad just now. You know, I think I'm in.
Yes.
I think, bro. I think there's gonna be people in the comments now saying, "Flex, we told you this. It's fine. We accept you. We accept you into the Ten Hag community, bro." The way you're breaking it down, yeah, and that's why it was important to do this. The way you're breaking it down, and it's probably nothing different from what a lot of Man United fans were saying to me. To be fair, these are the reasons why I do like Ten Hag. That's why I wouldn't be mad if he came. I 100% agree with you, because I did watch those games, and I remember watching them games live at the time actually as well, especially the Chelsea and the Spurs one, actually, and the Madrid one, all of them, all of those games. But that Spurs one, I remember watching it like, wow, these guys are source. Look at these players. I remember watching Ziyech, like, wow, like,
Remember this guy, Donny?
Oh my gosh, that guy, that was the Donny I thought we was getting, unfortunately, and now he's in a relegation battle at Everton. God bless him. But
he's staying.
Yeah, exactly. But no, in all seriousness, that's one thing about me. I'm not too stubborn. Like, I won't just have an opinion and be like, whatever. I don't care what anyone has to say. You're a this if you think that. No, that's what this community is about. And the way you've broken it down, yeah, those are the reasons why I definitely agree that Ten Hag would still be a good appointment, 100%.
I'm happy,
and actually probably a better. I like what he's. Yeah, I'm sold.
You're on the bandwagon now.
Yeah, I think I'm probably. I might change again back next week, but at the time we're doing this, I can't, because, bro, to be fair, I can't argue with anything you're saying. And you know what? A lot of people in the comments again will say, "Flex, we've been saying that. This is why we say he's the guy. He will be brilliant for Manchester United." And you know what? I don't doubt that he will. I do like him. I really do. But the biggest thing is, like you said at the top of this video, bro, like, we can change the manager all we want, but we've got to give him time. And more importantly, we've got to give him the power. Do you know what I mean? That's something that really, really worries me. I just maybe it's through being emotionally scarred or understanding our club. Like, we don't relinquish power, and people say Pochettino's soft and stuff like that. But I've just got visions of Erik Ten Hag, one, trying to find his feet in the league, and then still competing against the Glazers and the people who make the decisions to allow him to really rebuild his team, to allow him to make big decisions like, say, I don't know, I don't want Harry Maguire, who's £80 million you spent on him, but I don't want him to be my captain. I don't want Luke Shaw. I don't want this player. I don't want that player. I just worry. I think it's out of worry of the unknown, I suppose. So, yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I do think that, to summarize, your club is a little bit sick, man. And it has to
just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. But it has to do with the Glazers, you know. If they would be not at the head of the club anymore, not the owners, it would be totally different. And that's why I want to ask a question to you, if I might.
Yeah, of course.
We had Oli in the past, you know, and then Carrick took over for a few matches, and then there was Rangnick, and he will be like in another role at the end of the season, right?
Well, even this is a bit up in the air. He may not even be in that. Yeah, but that's the plan. That's supposed to be the plan, yeah.
So if you compare those two, if you compare the Oli era like this season and the Rangnick era now, do you see a lot of differences?
No, I saw at the beginning was the most difference, i.e. Rangnick really tried to get his actual philosophy across. 4-2-2 formation, you know, a whole new style of football. Bro, after, I think it was 4 games, or I think after a loss to Wolves, maybe. Can't remember which way around it was. The guy just abandoned it. He said, I can't work with this shit. Like, just go back to the formation that you guys know, which is the 4-2-3-1. We've played it ever since. Sometimes in the mid-match, we might go to a back 5 to preserve the lead. He's done that a couple of times. But to answer your question, no, it's the same old Manchester United, because we have the same old players. And, you know, in January, we didn't do anything. You know, that's a mixture of uncertainty with the manager, plus Man United being a little bit like Man United. I understand that. So no, there hasn't been much. I've seen what Ralf has tried to do in some games. We should have won games by big margins because we were creating chances. But defensively, we might not be conceding as many as we used to. We when we lose, we usually lose by 1 goal now. You know, that's
it's like only
a little bit better.
only Harry is scoring a lot in his own goal, but
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
scoring more than the last time we spoke. But
Exactly.
basically, there's more the mentality is better and they work together better. But I do think if I have to analyze it, I think Rangnick is more counting on the individual quality of certain players to like pull it through, like get the points. And this is definitely something that you will not see under Ten Hag, because he will always make them work like a unit, always make them work together and put them in their strengths, and that he will not accept people not working hard or not doing other type of work that is necessary. And I do think this is a problem. But this is also what worries me, because I saw a lot of your videos. I saw the views of Rangnick coming to the club, and he was like dubbed a very good interim manager for a few months, right? By many. And you see him having problems now. So
Exactly.
what does he have to do with? Is it the Glazers that are like really pressing on him? Is it the fans? Is it he not having like?
I think it's just because he's not here for a long time. I just think because they know he's not going to be here at the end of the season. The players know that. He knows that. There's even talks or rumors or reports, whatever you want to call it, that he's actually not got much say over who the next manager is going to be, even after he leaves. It's more of like a consultation thing, which is like we might call him and ask for a bit of advice, but other than that, he's not a football director. He's not instilling a philosophy, starting up like a whole Ajax movement that we're going to swear by and is going to be the new DNA of the club. These things just aren't happening. And that was really concerning to hear that. There was an article the other day in Sky Sports that was basically saying that Ralf Rangnick's role after this is a bit unclear. And actually, when he first come, it was one of the things that made Man United fans most happy was the fact that he was going to go upstairs and start to really change that look of the club. And it doesn't even seem like that's going to happen anymore. So I think in amongst all of that, and then between Pochettino and Ten Hag, it's like, I'm more just thinking of the guy who maybe knows the lead, because this is going to be a tough ask for him to come and do it.
One of the things I'm worrying about also with Ten Hag, because if they do not give him the time to
And the tools.
and the tools to work with and putting his philosophy into the team, this is a problem. Because I talked to you about this before in our last video. I told players need to look better to which club they move and if the style fits them. But it's the same actually if you think for Ten Hag, if he goes to Manchester United for his first big managing role abroad, is it actually the good fit for him?
For him, yeah, it's a good question.
I think he can bring the club a lot, but they have to grant him the time and the money to like build it the way he wants. But if they're going to like pressure him, that is not good for him as a manager role, I do think this is for him. He should really think about if he wants to go to Manchester United. Not that I think he's not good enough for you guys, but it's a difficult situation.
Do you think he should? You know, I mean, you're so knowledgeable. You know the problems at our club. Yeah. You know how it works.
Honestly, I do not think a lot of managers should go to Man United at the moment. Not because it's not a great club, but it's the problem is bigger than that. As long as the Glazers are the owners, there will be problems. You have to have different people at that certain position that know the club and that can help the club achieve something. They are really always absent, but still they have their grip on the manager that is in the head of the group, So I do think for every manager it's difficult. Maybe Mr. Ferguson, a true legend of your club, has big enough balls to say it like this to like run the club the way it should, because he is the stature within the club. But for every manager, it will be difficult. But if they grant him the time, I do think he would be the right guy for the job. But I doubt that they will actually.
Yeah. What sort of assurances do you think that Ten Hag will be looking for? So you know what he wants as a manager, you know what he likes. What sort of noise would he want to be hearing from, say, the Manchester United board? Let's just say we were doing this interview now. What assurances would he be looking for, in your opinion?
I think he will ask him for some money and time to build his way within the team, and also let him make harsh decisions, because there will be some harsh decisions within the team if they want to play like Ten Hag likes to play, And certain players, we touched upon that in our previous video, they're just not good enough to play the way he wants to play. Actually, they're not good enough to play at all. if I'm being quite honest, and that's Harry Maguire, for example. But I do love to see that compared to the last talk we had, like the wing backs are different now. Alex Telles is playing like we talked before. Diego Dalot is playing like we talked before. So now they just have to dump Maguire, and then you're already being a lot more solid than in the past.
And even them too, bro. I'll be honest. Even them, they're a little bit, yeah. It's a slight upgrade for me with Shaw and Wan-Bissaka. But I was saying the other day, I was just like, man, I look at all 4 fullbacks, and I'm like, still not the level of Liverpool. It's not the level of City. It's not the level of Chelsea. It's just not the level. Like, do you know what I mean? But it's better.
In your squad, those are the best options you have at the moment.
Absolutely. Which says it all.
You gotta have one beside Shaw.
That's what I mean. No. But if that's what I mean, if Ten Hag comes, I want to see that type of overhaul. I want to see him. Or then again, to be fair, and this is maybe a question to you, could he maybe elevate some of these players who, you said maybe not good enough and this, that, and the other? Could we see some really surprising turnarounds because Ten Hag is that good of a manager in terms of getting? Could we see Dalot in a new dimension, Telles, even Shaw, even McTominay, Fred, players that get a lot of criticism, even Maguire? Let's be honest. He's probably still going to be there.
Maguire is not possible, man. He's giving hope to all the people all over the world that they can be a football player. Because if he can make it with his qualities, no, everybody can, But
so you think Ten Hag wouldn't work? We wouldn't want that type of centre half.
I think that they will pressure him, and he has to show like mentality to not work with that guy in his team. Because I do think if they paid like 80 million for him, 85. That they want to see some rest value. But yeah, let's be honest, who's going to buy this guy for that sack of money, Not a lot. So yeah, I do think that he will be able to bring out the best in certain players. If you compare, for example, to Ajax, Steven Berghuis, we bought him last season, beginning of the season, from one of our bigger rivals, Feyenoord, that we beat just this weekend. He made him from a right winger and to a 10 position. So he does see some qualities in certain players and play them at different positions if he thinks that they can perform well there. And he will always look for players that have technical ability above players that do not have much of that, So, I do think that some of the players will probably perform better than the style that is being played now. But you do have to also look at the stats, If you, for example, look at your team, you bought Sancho for how many euros? Like 90 million?
77 pounds, 77 pounds. So yeah, about 90 million euros. Yeah.
So explain to me, why is it that and he played a little bit more, but how is it that your defensive pivot, Fred, has more assists and goals than your winger?
Yeah.
How is this possible?
Because Man United, it just does what it wants to do. Just run individuals. There is no consistency in anything that we do. And when you said about the individuals, it's spot on. Like Fred, actually, right now is playing really well. But that's just it. There's other times where he doesn't so much. There's other couple of times McTominay might put in a good couple performances. Jadon Sancho is growing. We know how good of a player he can be. But again, like you just said throughout this video, we need the environment. We need the players on the same level as him. The same wavelength as him, You need the coaching, you need it all, and we just lack so much of it. It's gonna have to be a massive change in the summer. So many players leaving as well.
True.
Big players, expensive players.
I hit you a bit with this question because the reason why I ask this is with Ten Hag, you will definitely know that they know which role they have to play within the team, and I do think sometimes I just see them within the pitch at the moment at Manchester United, and they just like roaming a little bit and doing their own thing. And
freestyling, that's it.
And this is something that will not happen under Ten Hag. There will be like rules, and there will be like freedom also, but within your space and within your set of skills that you have to bring each game. And I do not see that at the moment. And that's why I was asking this question, because in Ten Hag style, the wingers will have a certain role. They will cut inside and try to score sometimes, but they also will try to deliver a lot of crosses to the striker. This is the way he plays, and they will bring up more stats, I think, within the whole competition that they are doing now. And also, what I like to see at the moment at Manchester United is this young guy Elanga. He's coming up.
Yeah, he's doing well.
Stuff is what we talked about last time. This needs to happen, you know. You need to bring identity within your squad. This guy you brought in at the early age from, I think, Momo or something in Sweden. And he knows the philosophy of the club now. He's been playing at the club, and he's been also now in the squad. And he's delivering also, I think, quite a good performance for such a young player. And these kind of players you have to try and implement within a team. And if it wasn't for the big head of Jan Oblak of Atletico Madrid, he actually scored a goal.
Unbelievable. Exactly. I didn't even know he saved it.
So unlucky. So, yeah, I do think some positives are happening at United. And now it's just time for a strong gaffer at the helm, you know, to make decisions. And I do have faith in Ten Hag doing this. And I just do not have that much faith in the Glazers. So this is the problem.
You and the whole Man United fan base both, bro, 100%. Like you're not wrong on the Glazers thing. It just worries me. This is, you know, getting Erik Ten Hag, which, you know, I hope we do, especially more so now after speaking to you. But you know, I've always said whoever it is, I'm not going to be negative. I'm not, you know, if it's Pochettino, I support the guy 100%. If it's Erik Ten Hag, I support the guy 100% because I'm under no illusions that how difficult it's going to be. Like you said there, I think the main thing from this is that no matter how good Ten Hag has been, no matter how good Poch may have been at Spurs back in the day, whatever you want to call it, to come in now, any manager to come in now at Manchester United has got a really, really tough job. And the key is going to be that patience. It's so tough.
They're always comparing, like, is he up to the level that Guardiola is? Is he up to the level that Klopp is?
Exactly. Even that in itself, they're two best managers in the world right now.
If they were at the helm at Man United at the moment, do you think they would perform the same as that they do at their clubs? No. They are great managers, but they have worked and established the team and grinded at their clubs, you know, to get them at the level they are now. And those clubs are run well at the moment. So even with those managers at Manchester United, unfortunately at the moment, they will also have a hard time at the moment. Even the first season or the second season, I cannot see Guardiola coming in and like, okay, I'm less like playing Fred a little bit more there, and then I'm dropping Cristiano Ronaldo a bit more there. I'm not buying any place, and bam, you like winning every match 3-4-0. No, it's not happening. So this is something that has to be done, and I do think he's the guy for the job. But rather, you guys go for Pochettino. I said it before. I would like him to remain at our club, but I do think he's the better manager of the two. And Pochettino, he's a great manager also. You know, it's not like you get a bad manager if you go for Poch. It's just a different style of play.
Yeah. I agree. I definitely agree. But I like the Pochettino side. I understand that. But the Ten Hag, definitely, you know, it's an unknown entity as well. I think it excites the fan base way more as well, because not just factually because of the things that you said, but also I've always understood that the reason why Pochettino is almost like, I don't know, the relationship that never was. They thought it might happen a couple of times. Ollie always survived. Ollie was always like, no, you ain't coming for my job. I'm going to win this game against Brighton to make sure I don't get sacked. I'm going to win this game against City so I don't get sacked. And then it went on and on and on. And then Poch moved on. And I just feel like people in this country as well have just moved on from Poch. They want the shiny new toy. So listen, I'm down. I'm down for whoever it is, but I like both in it. I like both, but you have swayed me more into the Ten Hag camp for now. That's
I had to go into this episode.
You sold it to me. Exactly.
Good of job for me to bring you aboard, man.
Bro, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's always a blast, bro. So knowledgeable, super fun to have you on, man. It's wicked. Thanks, the viewers love hearing from you as well. And I'm sure we will be speaking again very, very soon in these closing months, maybe again at the end of the season. If we have a little catch up to see where we're at. Hopefully you'll be champions. Ten Hag can go out on a high, you know, bow out, you know, everything's sorted.
If Ten Hag doesn't win the championship, it's the biggest disappointment of last season, because everybody in the Netherlands dubbed Ajax way ahead by a landslide of PSV. So if he doesn't perform and win the championship,
he's not the guy. Maybe he's not the guy.
He should move to Manchester United.
Can't even win the Eredivisie, bro. What's going on?
Yeah. So and even if he moves to Manchester United, I maybe should watch the team a little bit closer from now on, because I really like the guy, and I was watching already because of Donny. But I know for sure that the manager definitely will be on the field coaching, and not only on the bench doing nothing. So definitely, man. And thanks for having me again. And it was a nice talk.
Absolutely, man. Make sure you guys check out the channel. We Talk Ajax, man. Great set of guys. They're following Ajax games, home and away, every single game. Great analysis. And like you can see, very knowledgeable about other stuff as well. Guys, smash a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. Let us know what you enjoyed about the chat. Let us know what you was feeling. Let us know anything you disagree with. And I don't even need to say who do you guys prefer as the manager, Ten Hag or Poch. I think I've asked that enough. We know who the unanimous decision is, and it looks like, as Ajax is saying, in summary, he is closer to leaving than he was the last time we spoke. It's not imminent, so I think all of these things. I think from the summary of speaking to Ajax, I think what I've learned is that we get carried away in this country, but over there in Holland, it's very calm right now. There's a title race going on. Man United is the most important thing to us, but it isn't outside of the fan base when other clubs and other fan bases have to sort their team out. So I don't think we get an announcement anytime soon, like what David Ornstein was saying. I'll be very surprised if that was to happen. But it looks like he's definitely on the cards and it's swaying more towards that way. Guys, smash like and video, subscribe if you're new. We are out of here. Peace.